If we were anywhere south of the border, this next guest, I mean, I think I would probably have girls screaming outside of the windows going, oh my gosh, you talked to him. Big star in South America and Mexico. I'm going to introduce him as only a white man can, as Alejandro Monteverde, which is not the way he would say it, but better than the way George Bush would say it. He'd be like, Alejandro, he's here. Anyway, Alejandro, how are you, sir?
How are you? Thank you for having me in your show. It's a great honor. And by the way, I met George Bush at the, when he gave the State of the Union speech. He picked 2 immigrants that came to this country, and I was one of them.
Wow.
He spoke, so I had the opportunity to chat with him, and he did spoke like what you said.
Alejandro is here. Anyway, so Alejandro, you are one of the great reasons we love immigrants. You are a guy, big star all over South America and Mexico, and as an actor, but you have become, I believe, one of the best filmmakers in the world. I saw your movie Cabrini when it was, I don't even know if it was locked down yet. And halfway through it, I said to one of the producers, I feel like I am in the screening room with the group that made The Godfather. Sitting next to
that is one of the most amazing compliments, because when I work with my cinematographer, that was one of the inspirations.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, you guys nailed that. It is one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen, but not for an artsy reason. It just captures a mood like I've only seen in The Godfather. So you hit that. The movie Cabrini.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The movie Cabrini. Tell the story of Saint Cabrini, because a lot of people don't know her.
Well, just the shorter summarized, she was a warrior. She came here to America in the late 1800s as an immigrant, a woman with nothing, with a dream, with a big mission to build hospitals and help those in need, and built an empire as big as any Rockefeller or Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Even though at that time when she arrived, she faced a lot of racism against the Italians and discrimination. But that's the beautiful of this country. That did not stop her from building one of the greatest hospitals that New York has ever seen.
It is, and she actually, by the end of her life, I believe it was the largest hospital network in the world.
Yes.
I mean, what she accomplished was amazing, and she became an American shortly after she got here, a few years after she got here. But it shows a woman,
an American, and then she was the first American saint. Yeah, which is also very powerful.
Yeah, the way you have predicted her. Tell me about the lady who plays her. This movie Cabrini, by the way, my highest recommendation. This is an incredible movie, so inspirational, so well done. This will show you how far independent films have come from conservative media. This is, put out by Angel Films. You remember how bad Christian movies were. This is, I wouldn't categorize it as a Christian movie. It's just a movie about this wonderful Christian. But it is brilliant. So please go see it. It's out tomorrow. Anyway,
thank you. First of all, that's truly an honor to coming from you. It means a lot. The reason this is a woman that also defied death itself. Defied our mortality every single day. She was able to literally steal decades of life. They told her that she had 2 to 3 years to live, and she kept fighting and fighting with. Look at the amount of faith. If somebody tells you have 2 years to live, but you have a dream that will take you 20 years to make, that requires a lot of faith in yourself to begin with. So I needed an actress that was able to have the power of her eyes from going from a loving eyes that can love a child that is abandoned to the streets to rapidly change to have these defiant eyes to defy all these challenges that were put in front of her. You know, she fought all the way from the most dangerous criminal, a pimp that was prostituting little girls, to facing, very powerful politicians.
Right. And the Pope. I mean, the scene with the Pope where she's like, I'm going to see the Pope, and everybody's keeping her away from the Pope. And he's finally like, I'm not going to mess with this woman. Go send her in.
Yeah, she inspires me all the time. We take no's too easy nowadays. So if somebody says no and then you just walk away. She was able to convert a no to a yes. She was able to build bridges, to even be able to work with people that disagree with her. And that's what I think is a problem right now, and it's so relevant with America because right now we're in such a divided country. We should be able to work together even though we're divided, and she understood that.
Yeah.
It's like we don't have to agree, but there's people dying outside. There's like let's go and help, and she lived a life for others.
Can I go down just an odd road perhaps with you? There was one point where I leaned over to the producer and I said, That's Batman looking over Gotham.
Yeah.
Right?
And she was wearing a cape.
Yes.
And she was wearing a cape.
Yes. So did you do these things? Because there were several places where I was like, that's a hero shot. That's a hero shot that I've seen. Did you intentionally do that?
Yes. Everything was designed and very intentional in this film. Because of COVID, at least we had to use COVID for advantage. The movie kept being pushed. So we used all that time to keep designing every shot, but designing the subtext. There's a lot of subtext in this film. She lives a very heroic life. She was wearing a cape. So we wanted to present her visually as a hero, as those heroes that you see in Marvel movies, but she was a real hero.
And is it true that this was, because I think this is what makes the movie so visually appealing, is it was meant to be shot in black and white, right?
Yes.
And what happened?
The whole time the movie was black and white, and when you shoot black and white, it allows you to be very operatic. Orson Welles, Citizen Kane. It's like all those movies. It's a wonderful, life. All those films. It allows you. Orson Welles used to say, "It is impossible to have bad acting in black and white." Black and white allows you to do everything, but most importantly, the reason I wanted to shoot it in black and white was because she was wearing black. Right. And I didn't want her habit to get in the way of her story. So I was like, well, then everybody's going to be dressed like her, black and white. So for an entire year and a half, I designed the movie as it was of black and white, which is very operatic, very cinematic, very orchestrated, almost like if you're looking at a movie on Broadway. So, and then a week before we started to shoot, Eustace Wolfington, who was the person behind all of this movement, I call it the Cabrini movement, he flew in, and I say, well, he come in for two reasons. Either he's firing me, or he's telling me that he's not going to be black and white. That was the only two reasons, because anything else he could just tell me on the phone. Why is he flying in to see me? And he was the second one. It's like, it's not going to be black and white. And at this point, I already had to sign the movie. When you design the movie for black and white, like Citizen Kane, you take a lot of creative licenses visually. Yeah. And it was too late to go back. And I didn't know if it was going to work. So when I finished the film, I went into a deep, deep depression for 2 weeks because I didn't know if this movie was going to work, because I had shot it, designed for black and white, but I shot it in color. So it was of the most dark. I went into a dark place for 2 weeks, and then I saw the first cut, and I was like, oh, it worked.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a risk.
It is the most visually stunning movie that does not detract. Sometimes people do it for art's sake and blah, blah, blah. This is just visually stunning and helps tell the story. I mean, Alejandro, you don't need this from me, but I truly believe you are one of the, if not the best director around today. You are going to be legendary. I believe. It's just a matter of
thank you.
Just a matter of
Thank you, Glenn.
time. You are just it's brilliant.
Truly.
So
Truly, because we've been in a fight, and I want to, I've never heard that, and more coming from you. It's shaking my heart. But I want to say something. You know this very well. Movies like these, if we don't have the big billboards, we're competing against Dune. So the only way the movie like this can survive is if in opening weekend people go see it. Otherwise, we'll be kicked out of theaters. So I cannot tell you how important it is that people come out on opening weekend, because they are our billboards. The billboards is the word of mouth. It's people coming out of the theaters and sharing their experience, their cinematic experience with audiences. Our audience is the walking billboards.
Well, I will tell you that I saw it in a studio projection room. And I went home, and I've been telling my family about this movie ever since, and we are all going to be at the theater tomorrow. I can't wait to see it again. It is so good.
Thank you so much. You saw an early cut, so I can't wait for you. There's 2 or 3 new scenes. I wonder if you'll be able to spot them. I think you will, by the way.
Alejandro, thank you so much, and keep up the good work. You are fantastic, really. And Cabrini is a piece of really a piece of art. It really is.
And I'm so grateful for your support. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Alejandro Monteverde, filmmaker, and I really mean this. I think he's going to be remembered with all of the greats. I have been a fan of his when he started making smaller movies. And he made Little Boy, which I thought was just fantastic, captured the spirit of America in World War II like very few people can do. And then he also is responsible for the Sound of Freedom. And now Cabrini. And this is amazing and a great uplifting story. You will just love it. Find it at a theater. Like he said, this weekend is really important, because the reason why Sound of Freedom did well is because more movie theaters open up on the opening weekend. If they have a big opening weekend, then more theaters go, you know what, I'll give that a try. And if you don't support these things on the opening weekend, and you will just go to support filmmakers. We have come from really bad movies to brilliant pieces of work. And this is the best I've seen from a conservative, and it's one of the best I've seen from anyone. It's called Cabrini. See it this weekend.